everyone. Glad to be with you today. Hello, glad that you're here. Just seeing if can make sure everyone joins us. So today is a weird day. I am quite sick, and I'm not going to be able to stay on for more than an hour. I'm pretty low energy, and at this moment, we're getting hit by a geomagnetic storm from an X flare. Woo! So today I'm going to talk to you for about an hour. And I'm actually going to try to meet with you as often as I can from here until solstice. I even bought a whiteboard. So I'm going to try to do some fun things with the whiteboard. And let me move myself around here a minute. Okay. So we'll be doing some fun things with the whiteboard. I'm going to try to meet or more often with you instead of just once a month because solstice is coming and every week something new is happening. Honestly, every day. This week, for example, we got a new cat this past month. So we have two new kitties. We named Star and Sky. We have three mules who decided that they're going to live with us on our land in the mountains in Ecuador here. So, I mean, they literally decided to live with us. Like, so that was intense. And then last night, no, it was the night before last, there was this dog, and there's a lot of stray dogs around Ecuador, as in South America in general. They just kind of live in packs, and you got to get used to it. So that's a big cultural difference than, say, the United States, where every dog either is in a home or in a pound. And it's not like that here. This young boy, he was 8 months old and starving, so quite skinny. And we met, and I realized, I think you're our dog, because we had been discussing getting a dog. So two nights ago, we have a new dog. His name is Jedi, and he's very sweet. And then we're supposed to get sheep later today, I think. So we'll have three sheep too. So it's turning into a zoo real quick here. But that kind of points to what I wanted to talk a little bit about today is this relationship where the earth and the planet and her living beings who are innocent, the animals and the plants, they need us very much to be grounded with the earth right now. Now, I don't know if you can feel this, what's happening right now, because I think it's only hitting South America this time, but this geomagnetic solar flare, I can feel it. And what does that feel like? Well, we know that solar flares can cause a lot of different issues. Um, Everything from mental, emotional issues, physical problems, which is probably what's going on with my stomach. Um, and this we don't really realize it because we haven't been trained to do two things: to be really grounded in the earth and to be in a consciousness that's galactic, where you're aware of your solar system and your galaxy and its happenings. That's what we might call galactic anthropology, right? So, the study of human beings and their situation as it pertains to the solar system and the galaxy. And that's what I want to touch on today because that's what I'm good at. And the other part, the grounding in the earth, I'm not nearly as good at. And I've been trying to be human. I'm sure you can relate. And for me, being aware of my origins, being aware of my many lives that I've lived, um, remembering all these things, integrating that, reconciling a lot. None of these lives have been super 100% pleasant. This galaxy's been going through major levels of war for many billions of years. And I relate all to that history more than I do the human history on Gaia. And I've finally realized, hey, if this new human thing's going to happen, right, from the help of you and my friends and so many people, I'm on this journey too. But to wake up every day and say, I'm a human being, I'm a Homo sapien on planet Earth, and to welcome that. For some folks, that's easy and that's normal and that feels good. For me, it's really hard because that's not how I view reality. I'm up here all the time from the galaxy, the solar system, and the universal viewpoint, which is why we're friends, because that's something that is interesting to you. And it sure is interesting to me. And I want to tell you what's happening to us. But this being human part is half of it. And that is key. So my friend, she told me to every morning wake up and say, I am a human woman. And that's really important. So think about that. Think about this embodiment you're in and what it's been through. I really sit down and I look at all the things my body's been through and as a human, as a Homo sapien, and all the things that I've accomplished. And I'm amazed I'm alive. I'm being just really humble today because I don't feel good. So this is how it feels right now for all of us. I know that when we get on these calls, it's not just me feeling the way I do. We all do. And there's a major sifting going on. So the grounding in the earth, this I've purchased some land here in Ecuador. I purchased a sacred mountain and I realized that on a piece of paper it says that I own this mountain, but I don't. That's not real. The mountain owns me. And thankfully it's been gentle to me this weekend because this mountain has a mind of its own and it will gobble you right up if you don't respect it. It's incredible to be on this land because it is in many dimensions and it's illusory. You think you know what you're looking at, and then you walk up a little closer and it's totally not what you thought it was. And so many secrets hidden. You must be so careful and mindful and really humble and reverent to this land. It will consume you. And I've learned this the hard way. Thankfully, it's been a lot more gentle than it could have been. But recognizing that the earth is extremely powerful and finding mysteries and sacred spaces of power on and around this land has been mind blowing. There's things that I've seen on this land that I can't even describe to you because it's so astounding. So I'm trying to take little videos and stuff for you. I'm going to upload them and I want to be together because we're going through a lot. And I just feel this sense that we need to be together. I don't know exactly what that's gonna look like. I've promised that I'd do more videos before, and I haven't. I always show up to at least the last Sunday of the month. But I do get this sense that, hey, there is a sifting going on, and those of us on the same wavelength, we need to talk. So, what is this sifting? Let me jump into that piece. As I journey into understanding how to be human on this beautiful earth in on this land that speaks and that teaches. And then my deep historical memory, pre historical memory, pre written history memory of how to be with the elements is showing up, and it's going to mingle with something entirely new that I don't know exactly how to talk about it yet, because the ways that we have got by over the past million years is not going to work anymore. So we have to mix the super ancient with the super new. But to do that, we need to understand how to be with the land and how to understand our galactic situation. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, the galactic situation. And let's jump in. And then more, I'm going to show you via video what I'm talking about, these places of power, and show you how it feels. Perhaps some of it will come through the video. And of course, I have to ask permission. These places are full of energy and consciousness. And if it doesn't want me to video it, it won't. So um, I'm going to do what I can and give you some of this energy that's happening, which is calling us to be reverent, to reconcile with the land again, and to make sure that the land is always part of your consciousness, that the earth is there in your consciousness, like a friend that's always with you. And that's going to be part of this new way of being human. But what's prompted all of this is galactic, and the earth is reacting to it. You see, the earth is going through major changes because of the galactic situation she's in. It's time now for her to say, all right, time's up. You have to make this choice. What are you going to do? Are you going to be a new human? Are you going to be a transhuman? What are you going to do? What's your choice? You're a creator being. What are you going to make for your life from here? And if you're not in harmony with what the earth is doing, then you won't survive. You'll check out and you'll have to go through that process. And our bodies are going through a lot right now. So, this is a key piece here to understand that the earth is reacting to what is normal for her, these many grand cycles of energy. And now we're at the end of a 12,000 year cycle. It's time for a huge wake up call. So, in the year 2000, the electromagnetic field began its excursion. This is what they call it in cosmology. Everything I'm going to tell you today, you can look up. I just happen to be really savvy about this because it's a part of my work to look at the human's experience at a galactic level. But in the year 2000, the excursion began. I like to call it an internalization of the electromagnetic field. And so her field, the Earth's electromagnetic field, which is created by her heart, just like your heart creates your electromagnetic field, is getting weaker. It's not really weaker, it's going internal. So it goes internal. This makes the Earth quite vulnerable. This is why I can physically feel this solar flare hitting South America right now, because the field is at its lowest. And in the next year to about maximum 5 or 6 years, we will see much, much more grand level solar activity. This could be in the form of a small, what we might call mini nova, which has happened many, many times in the geological record, especially at the 12,000 year mark. But why? Why is the field going inward? Why does the sun do this mini nova? Well, that's the galactic situation. The mini nova happens because there's a huge magnetic sheet of energy that looks kind of like big broom sweeps across the whole galaxy. And these arms of energy that push particles and plasma and electromagnetics in front of it hit this solar system every 12,000 years, give or take. And that has just hit Proxima Centauri. And earlier in the year, we had Proxima Centauri give off its second micronova, which means that the wave is here. So this means we're having all these cross waves of energy happen. We have waves from the sun hitting us every day. We have another wave coming in from the galaxy, pushing all kinds of energy in, which is going to cause the sun to continue to react. It's heating up the solar system. Every planet in the solar system is heating up. It's heating up the Earth, which causes it to go into a mini ice age. We're heading into an ice age right now. And you need to prepare for that. That's why I'm in Ecuador. The valley I'm in, the last ice age, this valley skipped the last ice age. It survived it. The mountain that I purchased has original flora and fauna from before the last ice age still there, including the most wild looking birds you've ever seen. And butterflies that are transparent and all kinds of strange, amazing things that I'm hoping to get pictures and video for you of all of this. And the reason why I'm only talking about this land now, because I've been in process with it for a long time, is because this past week we got the deed. So now I can actually talk about it because it's actually happened. Now it's under our care, or maybe we're under its care. And so this big huge sheet's happening of energy, right, at many levels. But we have another level to think about that I have not talked about in a long time. And this is where the galaxy is in comparison to its surroundings. The galaxy, as well as all of its brothers and sisters, which is in a massive structure called Lanakeia, and it's Lana K is this huge structure and it has a twin structure that looks like this. And when you see them together, it looks like a heart. It looks like a human heart. It's very wild. Lana K is this structure here, and our tiny little galaxies in this huge, massive stream of galaxies. And it's moving. You see, our solar system is moving. The sun moves and the earth is going like this. It doesn't just stay still and go like this, it moves and it goes like this. But so does the galaxy, bebopping along in the universe. And what has it been moving through? Well, it's been moving through a massive structure of particles, of many types of particles, which dampens the energy because there's a lot more mass. But, friends, something wild has happened, a mathematical impossibility, and it's causing many things to occur. That's why things feel extra nuts right now. Something has happened. The galaxy has hit a gap in this massive structure of particles. It's hit a gap where the particles aren't dampening things down anymore. So we have many gateways that have opened all at once that have never opened together before. And we have energy, and I'm literally talking about actual measurable energy, frequencies, wavelengths, things that we may not even understand fully at all. In fact, I would guarantee we probably don't whatsoever. Most of what we've been taught about our bodies and the planet and the galaxy, etc., have been wrong, have been purposefully fed to us as mind control. Otherwise, you'd be in a galactic mindset all the time instead of worrying about money, right? So, literally, that's what's happened to people. So now we don't have a choice now. We have to deal with this energy. All this energy is coming into the galaxy. The galaxy's energy is coming into the earth, plus the other outer galactic energy coming to the earth. The earth's magnetic field is at the lowest it's ever been. The sun is acting up. Humanity's waking up. The earth is awake and speaking. The elements can speak to you. They are made of frequency just like you. And a lot of people are finding that they're seeing new beings. I am. I've ran into some new beings that are now able to walk on the planet and they couldn't before. They were electromagnetic beings. And they've run in and these are physical run-ins. This is not psychic multidimensional remote viewing. It's here on this planet. These are beings that are very real, and I interface with beings as part of my work. But of the many thousands of beings I've run across, these are definitely unique. And I can see how they work with the fake internet. I can see how they work with AI, but they're very powerful and they want to be in your body. You need to turn off your Wi Fi at night. This is an affront. It's an affront to consciousness. So, a lot of things are going to happen that have never happened before. This is why we can't use the same ways that we've got by for a million years, coping. I wouldn't say humanity has thrived. Otherwise, we would be living 1,000 years like our ancient ancestors did. Now you're lucky, super lucky if you get to 100. That shows the level of corruption. That's written in ancient texts. Corruption is what caused shorter lives. So the purification of yourself, right action, right words, holiness, whatever your spiritual trajectory has set you up with, what is right and good, what is moral, what is ethical. You know what's not ethical? And I had to have a little chat with them because they were on my porch, is an electromagnetic being wanting to take over my body. That's not ethical. That's not according to natural law. So I said, no, there's something you need to learn here. It's called consent. We have this thing on planet Earth called consent, and you're going to learn it. If you're going to be here, you have to work within the laws of consent, ethics, and morality. I'm not sure they liked what I said. it, Nonetheless, they couldn't come into my house, and they kept pushing. I said, It's not going to happen. You can stay out on my porch then." So we have to be prepared for these interfaces and not be afraid. You can tell I'm not afraid at all. I warn them if they come closer, then I'm going to end up absorbing them and then they won't have any conscious experience at all. So be willing to stand in your sovereignty, folks. You know, I always tell you that. You are a human being. You are extremely important in consciousness. Every single one of you came here for this because we didn't know what was going to happen. We still don't know exactly what's going to happen. no level of seer or psychic or predictive model futurist can tell you that. You can get really close, but by golly, we're in a very different position. All the gates are open to something that I have never ever experienced in all my billions of years of consciousness in this galaxy. And I believe in that fully. And it's okay if you don't. That's perfectly fine. We can still discuss these things whether you believe in past lives or not. It doesn't matter. Past lives aren't going to help us right now anyway. Honestly, it's a distraction unless you're willing to simply learn from what you remember and move forward and be present. Anything that distracts you from being present isn't useful. But that's kind of my state of mind, like, wow, I've never been here before. No matter what I try to remember, it's not going to help me. It's not going to help us. We have many waves hitting. There's all these cross waves, and they go like this. And at solstice, they're going to go like this. They're going to actually harmonize with the earth. And it'll be a pretty long harmony until June of next year, where then it's going to go like this again. And it's going to go through its time. And then December solstice 2022, it'll do this again. And it'll keep having a longer and longer space of time that harmonic works. So in the next 5 years or so, the harmonic will be here for a very long time, up to a year or longer. And that's good. We want that. But right now, that is not where we're at. We're here. So that's something that we're looking forward to, but you need to get yourself there. We're only at the end of October. We need to get ourselves there. And every day it's harder and harder. And more, it feels like some of the folks that we interface with are like on a whole other frequency altogether, and that you can't even talk and be heard. So notice that. Even some of the folks that you would say are great teachers and have helped you and all these, they might seem farther and farther away. There's nothing you are supposed to do about that. The best thing you can do right now is to be human. Be human. Be 100% human. Be willing to protect your DNA. Be willing to protect your human experience. Prepare. In the description, I have two resources. One of them is about mental and emotional preparedness, making sure that you know how to process so that you're not afraid anymore, if you're afraid at all. But making sure that you become fearless in this time of collapse and rebuilding. But the second resource is from my father and I, and he's an expert preparedness, safety, and preparedness teacher. And he and I compiled a lot of information for you in a presentation and a lot of documents. Share it, share these things freely, download them and share them, print them and hand them out. A few of the documents are in Spanish. So if you have Hispanic friends who speak Spanish or South American friends, hand it out. But this is really important. You need to be able to survive physically as well. And the winter is coming to the north, and it's going to be a rough one because we're heading into an ice age. It's going to continue to get much, much, much colder. And so that's really key to know that that's happening and to prepare for that, to have medicine and tradable goods and food, water, all these things. You need to have start with 1 week. Start with having enough food and water for your family for a week and then build from there. Okay? Several years ago, I did this presentation and I lost more followers during that time than any other event that I've ever done. Usually I gain followers. I think half my people left. It was really intense because I was saying you need to prepare for the great shift that's coming. And it scared them, it upset them. They didn't want to imagine bad things happening. This was several years ago, like in 2018, and then everything hit the fan over the past few years. Some of those people ended up coming back to come and keep talking about this stuff because they realized that I was right. But I'm not the only one who's right, of course. It's just simply a mindset and certain training in certain sciences, that's all. I'm very privileged that I got this kind of information growing up. My parents were very, very aware of what was coming, and they're like the best prepared people you could ever imagine. So it's I mean, it puts me to shame for sure. I certainly am not nearly as prepared as I could be, but I also live in a place where we have a year-round growing season. And now I have an endless amount of food because of this beautiful mountain who I hope you'll get to meet. So there's a lot of shifting happening, and being prepared is a good idea because it keeps you from being in fear. The reason why people left is because they said, well, this makes me afraid. And I said, well, you need to swap your mindset because what I'm giving you is to help you so that you won't be afraid ever because you'll be ready. It's not too late for that. If you're really coming into this right now, it's not too late for that. If you're still willing to change yourself, it's not too late for that. Is it too late for some folks? Yeah, but that's okay. This is their choice. Everybody's making their choice about how they're going to navigate all this. It's not up to us to change those realities. You are the creator of your reality. Be in charge of that one. That helps your family, that helps your animals, that helps the land, that helps the people that you love. Your reality changing from the inside out, where you become fully human and fully conscious of this opportunity that we have because of the place and space we're in. That's what we're heading into. That's where we are now. It's happening now. And so the over the next 6 months or so, the changes are going to happen 1,000 times faster than you ever thought. Be aware and prepared for that. 1,000 times faster. Every day is going to be a new paradigm, folks. It is. One day I didn't have a dog, and the next day I have a dog because it was the right dog and the right time. That's a new paradigm. But, challenging stuff too. Our health is on the table. Being able to look at our health more carefully because this is you being a human who's evolving. And you're going to either be a Homo luminous or a Homo sapien. And a Homo luminous is who's going to survive what's happening at this galactic level and who is aware that they are a soul, an immortal soul, animating and creating this body trillions of times a second as time and reality is made and dismantled and remade trillions of times a second. That's the ride you're on in consciousness. So my energy is going lower and lower and lower. So I'm going to answer some questions and then I'm going to go because I need to rest. And I normally spend 2 hours with you, but I can feel my body just kind of going into a state of needing to rest. So I'm going to do that. Um, and I want you to too, by the way. Resting is a verb. This whole idea that resting isn't productive is bull. Your body heals because of rest. You're you integrate everything new because of rest. And so I'm not going to be able to build a pillar of light with you today, but I encourage you to do one anyway and to do them often. And you simply project through your gut, your heart, and your mind to a place that seems correct what hopes and energies and prayers that you have for whatever cause you intend. And when you project it with one or more people, it creates a physical object that's a fourth dimensional pillar of light that transmits your prayers and your hopes and your dreams through many dimensions. And that's how we do it. It's that simple. And it's not difficult at all to do it with a friend or to do it alone if you want to. And so I'm sorry about that, that I'm not able to follow through on 2 hours with you today. Um, right dog at the right time. That's right. So, um, Adriana says, anxiety keeps coming up for my husband. What can he do? He sits with it, but it's difficult. You know, I want to point something out. Electromagnetics is a big deal right now. A huge paper just came out about how electromagnetics affects biology, and it's a massive paradigm shift. This is what we should be focusing on. And when you feel anxiety, your body's built up in an immense amount of electrical magnetic energy. Okay. We live in these houses that are up off the ground. We wear shoes that keep us up off the ground. We're in cars that keep us up off the ground, concrete, asphalt, all these things that keep us up off the ground. This is not how your body evolved. Your body evolved barefoot on the planet. So when ourselves or our partners are having trouble with their mental and emotional health and they have the anxiety and their body's reacting, they think it's just them and that they need to process this, but this is not the case. It's physical. So you need to go get barefoot on the ground for at least 20 to 30 minutes every day. You need to get your body in salt water, whether it's your feet or your whole body in Epsom salt water, because this helps to just discharge all of that electromagnetic buildup. And then if you have an emergency, if you actually put quartz crystal on your body or gold, that's actually a conduit that can move energy out of the way for you. But the water, especially salt water and grounding barefoot on the earth, and I know it's getting cold in the north, but do what you can. Um, this is going to help discharge that excess electromagnetic energy in the body. Another way too, especially if it's cold, is to hug a tree. I know it sounds strange, but literally the tree's full of water and it will pick up the excess electromagnetic energy in your body and discharge it. This is why lightning hits trees. What happens to a grounding rod that's got a lot of electromagnetic energy that's built up and it doesn't have anywhere to discharge? It explodes. We call this, in the human terms, a nervous breakdown. So get grounded. You are literally a conduit made of water physically. You have a huge amount of electromagnetic energy that builds up. It's normally going right back into the earth. But because of modern society and our mindless creation of what we called civilization without actually honoring the planet and our bodies who evolved on the planet, we've missed out on all this stuff. So this is why. This is why we're anxious. This is why we have nervous breakdowns. This is why we're exhausted. Take that to heart and see if that helps your husband. See if that helps you. As we move forward, we need to be grounded. And that salt water is a really great conduit. It really helps discharge a lot and puts magnesium, if it's Epsom salt, back into the body. It balances out the sodium potassium gates of the nervous system and calms you down so you can feel present again. Good. So, um, people are kind of saying that a lot of people remember that call and how they were upset, and it's because they didn't feel that it was necessary or a part of their reality. And that's perfectly fine. So if it wasn't useful to you at that time, that's okay. And it may be useful to you in the future. So we'll see. But being present is more important than anything. Um, and so someone is pointing out too, that there's this sense of going into uh, also a sense of tranquility. And that happens too because that happens because when all the energy is going like this, people end up being able to finally go in and say, I think I'm going to ride this. So, this is when someone's ready to ride consciousness and they're in a surrender state. So, surrendering to what's happening, surrendering is the opposite of resistance, and resistance is really dense. Resistance causes us to have that electromagnetic buildup of anxiety or fear. And when it comes to preparedness for anything, this is just a simple mindset that I'm talking about. Everywhere you live, there is natural disaster of some type, whether it be lightning or tornado or earthquakes or whatever. And knowing what to do in those scenarios is the preparedness mindset I'm talking about, not just survival, but preparedness for whatever gets tossed up. And one thing you can expect is when the sun acts up and when the electromagnetic field is lower, the earth has more dramatic weather. It has more dramatic volcanic activity. It has more dramatic earthquakes. So we know this is true from scientific evidence. And if you look at La Palma, that's a good example of what's happening. But also, if you look at the lightning that's happening over the past year, there's more lightning and new types of lightning than we've ever been able to record before. That's because of this 12,000-year cycle. This is what this big shift is all about. And some folks have it all set up all nice for them already so that they won't feel such a pushback from consciousness around these shifts. Some folks live in places where it's physically safer than others. And a lot of factors go into this, including whether or not you've been through a shift like this before from other lifetimes, which is why you might feel really peaceful because you know it's not the end of the world, because it's not. But even then, even with how many shifts have happened with the earth before this one's different. This one doesn't have similar attributes. It has very, very different attributes than before. So that's something I'm just pointing out. And um, the electromagnetic beings that I interfaced with there's nothing to be afraid of. You don't need to be shutting doors or feeling like you need to protect yourself right now because you need to stand in your power. That's the biggest protection you have is to say, "No, I don't consent. This is not according to natural law, right? This is not according to my sovereign consent as a being." And that's something that's going to be the greatest thing that you can be doing. Um, no, they don't have bodies exactly. They're electromagnetic, and so it's kind of like having a ghost around a little bit. Ghosts have a similar way of being there, but they're actual people or souls trapped in the fourth dimension. These folks aren't trapped. They're very 3D. They're physical. They distort the energy around you. Um, and it just feels all around like a presence, but it doesn't elicit a huge fear response like the demonic does because we don't have any experience with these guys. And they're not the only ones who we're going to be seeing. You know how candidly I speak about what I perceive and what kinds of folks I've run into over a really long period of time. Um, and, most of them are not problematic to our existence. It's the other way around. Most of them want to help us out. We have angels and Pleiadians and Syrians and all these wonderful beings who do want to actually support us. But that's the key. They're going to support us best if we're standing in our sovereignty and saying, "No, I am a human. I evolved on this planet. You did not. And I'm here to take care of Mother Earth. And you are not." And that's the line. This is the line that's drawn. You're not welcome here unless you're going to support that. And you just say what you need to say. So don't worry about beings like this. This kind of stuff happens. Stand in your power. Open your heart field and say, "This field is only full of love. Nothing else with any other energetic can enter it. I only am filled with the love of the universe, the love given to me by being a being who can create my reality, come from Source God. And my sovereignty arises from that will, the divine will. And that's the same for all beings. But the the paradigm of power over is done. Now we are in empowerment. Make your field bigger and stronger. Don't put walls and gates up. Just make it so big and so strong and so present and so conscious that you are impenetrable. That's what we do from here. Good. Yeah. So Chris is asking, why exactly does the geomagnetic solar stuff create low energy and physical emotional issues? So it's not that we fall victim, it's just physical. I would say our best approach would be to stay inside, protect our bodies, get grounded. The reason why is the same reason why people have anxiety attacks and nervous breakdowns. Electromagnetic, big, huge, what's called coronal mass ejections from the sun. This one that hit us is the size of Jupiter. Um, these things affect our bodies and our minds because we are electromagnetic beings of mostly water. And so, what happens when you run electricity through water? It becomes agitated, right? So that's why. It's actually that simple. There's no other more complex explanation. You are an electromagnetic being of water. And that's why we get affected by these things. Good, good. Just scanning through for more questions and seeing how everybody is. I'm really glad to see everybody. And Yes, absolutely. I hope that you'll all come to visit me here in Ecuador. It's one of the most beautiful and amazing spaces I've ever been. Um, and many friends are moving here. So I hope that you will too. If you want to come and join us, um, let me know. I have a PDF for you about like what flights are like, where to stay, real estate agents, lawyers. I have all of that. So if that's something that is opening your heart right now, like, hey, I want to go visit Ecuador, let me know. I'd love to help. Well, that's really sweet, Cherokee. Thanks for that. And I think building a pillar on the mountain would be amazing. Lots of pillars will be there for sure, no doubt. Ah, good. Yeah, so the person whose name is No with a line through it says people try to argue that these different um, uh, G forces or whatever we'll call them from cell phone towers, etc., that's not a problem. It is a problem. Yes, absolutely. But I kind of have a a mindset on this because I think you're quite right. No says frequency tech is the end of all diseases. I agree with you. But we don't need I've said this before, you don't need a special med bed from the elite. You need your voice. You need to know what 432 hertz frequency sounds like. You need to go lay on the earth. That's your med bed. You have the sun, which has a full spectrum of light for you to heal your body and kill diseases. And you have the earth. That's your med bed. Go get out and sing. That's the healing of the human voice. This is why we speak and why when we say I am this or I am that, that it becomes true because the body's listening to you. This is why thoughts are frequency and why they affect your body and give you long health or not. So you're very right. All frequencies matter in this case, but what we're heading towards will cause whatever electromagnetic tech that's out there that's unnatural, that's not part of Indra's net, that's part of the fake internet. That's why we will end up having to, through necessity, which is happening right now, cause our own body's electromagnetic frequencies to be so immense. I say, who cares about their fake internet? Our internet is quantum light. It's already in place. Our bodies already are connected to it through the premovascular system, which moves photons through the body. What we're becoming is 1,000 G. And that's where we're heading towards. But you need to take good care of your body, turn off the Wi Fi. It does dramatically affect your cells. This is fact. It causes electromagnetic biology to be messed up. Turn your cell phones off as much as you can. Stay off the internet unless you have to. It's not healthy. Social media is not healthy. I've been off of it. I have profiles on there, but I don't use them. I still get messages and stuff sometimes, but I haven't been on any of that for ages now, and I've never been happier, honestly. I can't believe how miserable I was for so long, and I'm of the generation who was on MySpace. So, pre all of the other stuff. And I loved it. It was so creative, and it's definitely not turned into that now. Now it's just a big brainwashing tub. So, getting away from all of that, making sure you know your neighbors. Do you know your neighbors? Are you able to really consciously build community? Do you know how to do that? Do you remember? That's where what we really need to focus on now. And that's why us getting together is good. This is a bit different than, say, social media. I like YouTube. I wish YouTube were a little bit cleaner energetically, but if you go on the fake internet, nothing's going to be perfectly energetically clean anyway. Um, so what's a mini ice age going to be like? Um, well, the snow, a lot more snow. We may see many large rivers, especially in Europe, freeze over like they used to hundreds of years ago. Um, and then longer winters, more snowpack that stays a long time. So that's good news for the United States Southwest, who's suffering from drought in California and stuff. Um, but bad news for growing seasons in the north. And you're going to see a lot of changes with that. So that's why I say, always have enough food and water for yourself for at least a week. That's always a smart thing to do. You don't need to be worried about surviving. It's more of a matter of um, just in case mindset. And that keeps us from being in fear in the long run. And then we have someone mentioning that they stopped watching the news. Pure Light says, I stopped watching news and I've been daring to my boyfriend to just ride the waves. Yeah, I stopped watching news too. There's a few things that I do watch, but they're all private channels. I watch Suspicious Observers to be updated about the sun every day, which is why I know right this minute we're having a solar flare um, experience because the flare happened a couple of days ago and it takes a couple of days to get to Earth. Um, but I like Ben Davidson a lot, and he's the one who's taught me the most about the galactic situation from a scientific viewpoint and how it affects the Earth and why I know we're going into an ice age. Um, and so, Donetta, to find the preparedness information, it's in the description. So, the description's a little hard to find if you are here and you're looking in the square here. There's a little tiny arrow that you can barely see right here on the bottom right on your screen. And if you click that arrow, you'll see bing, it'll pop up the two links and share all that freely if it resonates with you. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it because there's plenty of other things we can talk about. um, so Lisa says that it's too cold in the winter, but she's got a copper soaking tub. Perfect. And essential oils are always good for grounding, but we need actual electromagnetic discharge. So hug a tree if it's in the cold of winter. I've found it to be immensely healing because it literally sucks up all the electromagnetic energy out of your body. It's great. Yeah, so Milena has a friend who it has this transmitter antenna just outside of his windows, and yeah, he's not doing so well. And that's definitely it. We know now that it affects the body very dramatically. So it's just like microwaves. Like micro people still use microwaves. I'm like, why are you doing that? We know now what it does to you when you're around a microwave. There's a lot of information, and we have to be careful not to judge people because they may not have put two and two together because they didn't have access to that and you did. So always just watching ourselves very carefully, not judging what people are going through. This is our chance, folks, to really get into universal compassion. Universal compassion is really important right now. Good. And so this just is because I'm a galactic anthropologist. I'm gonna denote a couple of species that were mentioned here in the chat. And there's Lyrans, Lryan, and there's Lyrians. And the Lyrians are the cat people, and they're wonderful. I love them. Lyrians, their main teaching is that all beings are kings and queens of the universe. They see all beings as sovereign, and they don't have servants. They have kings and queens who are learning how to be sovereign. And I love that teaching so much. They're very pleasant and wonderful species to be around. Lyrans, on the other hand, are the oldest species in this galaxy. And they came from a little planet called Lyra that used to be around the star Vega. It's no longer there. Vega gobbled it up, but that is the oldest species. And they were first fifth dimensional beings, and they created and developed DNA. And so, a very different species. Um, I don't know how pleasant we are, but I definitely have learned a lot from my fellow Lyrans, and the creator being concept is definitely from that mindset. And the more I remember about my lifetimes as a Lyran, the more um, the more wild everything becomes because the way they viewed the universe is very different. And I'll get into that more with you as we go forward because I think all of us are going to remember more and to be able to know, well, you know, no wonder the Pleiadians are so different. They came from two inhabitable planets in the Pleiadian star cluster, which is actually many hundreds of millions of light years across. So you can't just say you're from Pleiades, you're from a couple of planets out of billions in this huge star cluster that looks like this from our vantage point, but is more like this in reality. And, one of those planets was a desert planet, and one of them was a water planet. So you have two really different types of beings that evolved on very different planets. And these planets have a dramatic effect on the DNA and how it looks and how it acts and what kinds of attributes you're going to have. And that's why this merging with, or at least being able to be responsive to Mother Earth is key because this is the planet your body evolved on and it's special. So you're going to need to really understand her better if we're going to survive and really continue to make it through these big shifts. Someone mentioned on here that they can't see forward in time, like psychically. Don't even try. Just stay present. There's nothing to see. The only thing you're going to see is a big flash of light. That flash of light is a big change happening. And it's from all different levels, it's not just physical. That's why you can't see and why nobody can see forward in time from here. That's why. And listen, ask everybody at the CIA who was doing remote viewing about the future. They'd say the same thing. So I think they externalized the issue. It's an internal one just as much as an external change. But why would you be able to see what it would be like to be a different species? You wouldn't because you're going to see differently as a different species. All of us are changing. All of us. This is our opportunity. It's a wonderful thing. This has happened before many times on this planet. The different beings that came before us, they had to go through big changes too. I would argue this is more dramatic than that and more galactic. And that's why it's so intense. Good. Yeah, good. Lots of people noticing that they don't really have a lot of fear anymore. And I I relate. All that fear is it's time to be done with it. Whether you like the idea of preparedness or not, whether that resonates with you or not, it's all about being present right now. There's nothing to be afraid of because there is no death. There's no death. That's another mind control slavery thing. There's no death. There's only transformation. You are an immortal soul. There is no death. There's nothing to be afraid of. You are a beautiful Homo sapien who understands and can can feel the presence of God. There's nothing to be afraid of. So I really resonate with that. It's time to ride the wave, not to fear it. Excellent. Yeah, I like your question, Wendy Marie. You said, if we're old, do we have a role in this world? Or would it be best to prepare our legacy for checking out? Both, right? Because the energy of the presence that you have is full of wisdom. We need to be very reverent to our elders. Unfortunately, a lot of folks younger than me don't really have that built into their culture. And I'm very glad that working with the elderly at a young age, I learned that reverence for my elders was key because they had a lot to share. So during that sunset time of your life, it's extremely important to work on your trauma. It's never too late for that. If you clear your trauma while you're still in the body, that resonates out to the rest of the world. So anything left for you to reconcile inside of you prepares you for a good death, a good transformation. And that's really how we can best present ourselves if we're in that sunset time of our life. There's no one special thing for you to do. But if I was to pick one, it would be continued self inquiry to the very ends, continued self inquiry into clearing and healing your trauma for the benefit of humankind and consciousness while you're still in the body. That's the best I could say about that. And it's something I treasure very much is that wisdom. And so sharing that the best that you can, maybe you write some, maybe you tell it, maybe you to some friends or family members, maybe you record it. Just put it in the field. It doesn't matter if anybody ever listens to it. You've put it into the field of consciousness. Then it's available. And it is available via the real internet, Indra's net. And you're intimately part of that. So I like what Melissa says. The future is not new age, it's rooted in indigenous knowledge. That's what I'm talking about, the very ancient wisdom that we have embedded beyond all this trauma. but a way to work in harmony with the earth and the elements. And that's something the indigenous know best. And that's something written in your embodiment. Going through comments still. Melena asks, can we use technology to send positive energy? Heck yeah, sure. Use That's what I'm doing right now. So, yeah, we do it all the time. Absolutely. We're using it. So, yes, if you're going to send anything, send positive energy onto the fake internet. It's definitely needed. Do your best to be in non judgment and compassion and sending good quality energy all the time. That's a great way to do it. Yeah, so Sarah's pointing out different frequencies like the solfeggio tones. That helps. Solfeggio tones can really help balance out the body because of cymatics. Frequency creates form. This is one of the secrets of the esoterics of quantum physics. So when you're thinking sad thoughts, it creates a frequency in the body which creates form. And that form could take the form of illness. Or if you're thinking positive thoughts, if you're saying kind things, if you're typing good quality emails full of compassion instead of impatience, or if you're on social media and you're putting positive things out there, these are frequencies. When someone reads it, they're reading it in their head and they're reading a frequency. It creates form. That's why if someone gets bullied and bullied and bullied, they end up feeling suicidal, right? It's creating an activity in the mind. It's creating form, which would be that desire not to live anymore. So we have this very clear, keen knowledge about how frequency creates form. That's on the table. That's one of these super ancient ways. That's an indigenous consciousness. That's why they had songs and drumming and fire and all these things working together in harmony. Why they in ancient times would bless water as we do now. Because water has memory. So when I say to the elders listening, the more you can clear your trauma, the better. The body's water memory will go back to the earth when you're finished with this body. That water memory goes home to the earth. The water memory is in all water. Imagine how much memory really is there in all the water of the planet. Understand that the water you drink has memory, and that the water you pee in the toilet has memory, that you spit into the sink. It has memory. This is a fact, a science fact. Now, that will help you to start to ground with this and to understand how important the movement of water and the embodiment, the hydration of the body is, but also to have positive thoughts, to give blessings or prayers over your food, over your water. And I took it for granted growing up that we would say grace at the table, but now it makes total sense why we did that. And say grace to the water that moves from your body too. That way, it's not full of your trauma, but is healing and can help heal others as it cycles through the systems. That's a very cool way that we can be beginning now, working now. I like that we can do that now. It's easy. Good. Shungite. Shungite's coming up as helpful because it helps to dampen down electromagnetic energy. So if you're extra sensitive to electromagnetics like I am, and like so many of us are, um, Faraday cage material, uh, shungite, and then there's those big blankets, those orgone. structures and blankets that help too. All this is measurable. It's stuff you can take frequency measurements and know that these things actually help. You can wear shungite and stuff like that. So, yeah, we've got a lot of work to do. We need to make sure all this technology is actually working for us instead of to say take over. And that's going to be on the plate. When I say everything has to be rebuilt, I really mean it. Everything has to be rebuilt. We've got a lot of work ahead. But in the meantime, you can manage these things. I don't like to imagine that I'm protecting myself so much as I'm managing it. Because if I feel like I need to protect myself from something, that makes me afraid of it. And I I don't really have that same mindset. In mysticism, if you're afraid of it, then you need to go find out more about it. So that's kind of the mindset I have. It's not for everybody. For some folks, being protected is very necessary for that consciousness. Everybody's different. Yeah. So I'm going to take one more question here. Yeah. So the spelling, our friend No here is saying it right. Lyran is Lyran and Lyrian is Lyrians. Thank you for that. Yeah, Janina is pointing out, when she felt fully one with Mother Earth, it's the first time she felt unconditional love as a human being. I love that. You know, I like these different questions that are popping up. There's kind of a theme. And 528, Wendy Marie, is 528 hertz, like 432 hertz. It's a frequency. If you Google frequency generator and put in 432 or 528, these are solfeggio tones, and there's a bunch of them, and they are really great for harmonizing the body. Because if you look at cymatics, go on YouTube and search cymatics um, presentation or something like that, um, and watch how when they play frequencies with sand, how it turns into different forms. That's cymatics. It's how frequency creates form, and that's happening to your body when you're listening to a frequency. What is happening on that mat with the sand is happening to you. It's pretty cool. So this theme is sort of this theme of questions really has to do, I think, with where are we heading? Where are we really heading? Well, I don't know. And I'm speaking from my soul, my mind, my heart, my gut. I don't know where we're heading as a species or what it's going to look like over the next 20 years, but I do know exactly where we're heading. And it's the way we're heading all the time that we've always headed. We're all heading home to source. We're all heading home to God. A lot of you know I like to call God source or source God. God is the source of all things. And the way I perceive God is much more than just consciousness. It's also the source of all consciousness and also literally a source field, a measurable source field of all energy, what we might call the zero field. But we're heading that direction at all times. Some things, it takes longer than others to get there, but we are all particles of consciousness and we are all arisen from source to go back home again and to do it over and over. This is the cycle of consciousness, as is the cycle of life. So I can confidently say we're all heading home. It doesn't matter what happens over the next few years to our historical vantage point. We're all heading home no matter what. You can trust that change will always be with you, and that change always leads you to one place, and that's home to source. Anything that keeps you from recognizing that is false. So that's why you don't need to worry. It's why you don't need to fear. You just need to be prepared in whatever way that makes sense to you. You need to be conscious. You need to be vigilant. You need to be willing to try new things. I've never worn shungite before. Maybe I'm going to try. I've never tried hugging a tree before. Let's give it a shot. So that's the mindset right now because there's a new way coming, and the new way is based in the very ancient way, but it's the combination of this new level of consciousness, which is a universal level of consciousness, the galactic, the solar system, the global, combined with the ancient indigenous wisdom about the elements, the body, and the human spirit. And this is so different than we've had before. We have modern science, we have ancient indigenous wisdom. Everybody can be friends. We're all heading into the same sorts of situations where we all need to be the best of ourselves. So, again, look at those resources, the description right here. There's that little arrow. Look at those resources and work with them. Meditate or pray every day, emotionally process so that you don't get pent up with trauma and drama. Discharge all that excess electromagnetic energy from your body. Rest. This is where we're heading. And like Sarah says, bless yourself. Bless your loved ones. You are a creator of blessings as well as good frequencies, positive thinking, joy, hope. So this is where we are going is always home. And God never left you. God's always there. The source of reality is from within as well as externally, and it's always available. And so you are home and you're experiencing time. And now you'll begin to experience real time, timelessness, the ocean of reality. And know that you are home. That's why you don't need to be afraid. That's why you need to be human right now, be present, be in your body, be willing to have universal compassion, be willing to stand in your sovereignty, be willing to say, I do not consent, and be willing to understand that this is why you came, so that you can learn this and to really master it. Excellent. So I'm going to go rest, my friends. Thanks for being with me. I tried to stay as long as I could. Now I'm literally falling asleep. So my body says it's enough. I'm going to take some video for you. I'm going to try to see if the land would like that and bring it to your presence and post some more things here for you. so you can get a taste of this beautiful place and all the light that's available. But for you, do that too. Notice what's available, what's happening to you and around you on this planet, and notice nature right now. Notice the light. Notice that God is in all things. Just keep noticing. Be present. Good. It's really great that we got to spend a little bit together. Thank you. And more soon, yeah? Thank you for your blessings and your prayers and your healing. I can feel it. I think it got me through an extra half hour. But I do love all of you so much, as you know, and I'm here for you. Write me and let me know how you're doing. And we'll try to do some more connecting, okay? I sure appreciate you coming today. Thank you. And share this. If there were pieces that were useful to you, share it. Good. All right. We'll talk soon, my friends. And I'm so glad that many of you are still here or that you've returned. That makes me so happy. We've got lots to talk about, of course. All right. Talk soon. Bless all of you. Mwah.